In this video, we're going to talk about fertilization and meiosis. We already pretty much covered fertilization in class, but we're going to quickly go over key vocab for fertilization in order to talk about meiosis. The key vocab for fertilization is a gamete, which is a sex cell like an egg or sperm, a zygote, which is the first cell formed when an egg and sperm cell combine into one, and then the process of fertilization itself, which is just the process of an egg and sperm cell combining. To put these vocab words into context of diagrams, a gamete, like was said before, is just a sperm cell or an egg cell. And then when you add a sperm cell plus an egg cell, what you get is a zygote, which is just those two cells combined. And this whole process of a sperm cell adding to an egg cell and becoming a zygote is fertilization. If you look at the N down here and then the 2N over here, we're going to talk about that later in the video, but that's referencing the fact that sperm and egg cells are haploid and zygotes, or all other cells, are diploid. They have twice as much DNA. The point of talking about fertilization is to give some context to meiosis. Most of this video is going to be talking about meiosis, which is a process similar to mitosis, but also different in very important ways. Take a minute to recall these 4 questions. What are the phases of mitosis? What happens during each phase? What is a diploid cell? And if humans have 46 chromosomes, how many chromosomes are in each new cell formed after mitosis? Write the answers to these questions in your notes. If you don't remember, go back and look at your notes on mitosis. It's really important you understand these 4 questions before trying to tackle meiosis. Questions 1 and 2 can be answered looking at this diagram. We have prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, or PMAT. During prophase, the nuclear envelope disappears and chromosomes form. During metaphase, chromosomes line up in the middle. Anaphase, they get pulled to opposite sides of a cell. And telophase, the new cells start to form. To answer question 3, we have to remember that somatic cells, which are the type of cells made by mitosis, are every other cell in your body other than egg or sperm. Examples of somatic cells could be skin cells, hair cells, heart cells, etc. Question 3 asks what a diploid cell is, and diploid cells are cells that have pairs of chromosomes. There are 2 of each chromosome in a diploid cell, aka in human diploid cells, there are 46 chromosomes. This counts for your skin cells, your hair cells. They all have the same number of chromosomes, which is 46. At the end of mitosis, the cell should have started with 46, and the 2 new cells should each have the same amount of chromosomes, which is 46. Comparing the definition of diploid cells to haploid cells, think haploid half. Haploid cells are cells that have only 1 pair of chromosomes. So, if human diploid cells have 46 chromosomes, human haploid cells have 23 chromosomes, half the number. If you had another example, you could see that in diploid cells, there are 2 pairs of each chromosome, but only 1 pair makes it into the haploid cell. Or, if there were 6 chromosomes in the diploid cell, there'd only be 3 in the haploid. A lot of times people memorize haploid is 23 and diploid's 46, but that's actually only true for humans. For other organisms, the diploid number could be 50, and the haploid number could be 25. So now let's start talking about meiosis, or creating sex cells for sexual reproduction. To define meiosis or describe what it does, it's the process where sex cells get formed. It results in haploid cells, so chromosome number is half the number that's in the normal cell. Meiosis has 2 cell divisions, not 1 like in mitosis. So the cells divide once, and then the new cells each divide again. Meiosis results in 4 new cells, not 2 like in mitosis. And the cells that result from meiosis are called gametes, or they are either your egg or sperm cells. Looking at this in a diagram, you would see that in mitosis, you have 1 cell starting out. It divides once, and it makes 2 cells. In meiosis, though, you have 1 cell starting out, it divides, and it divides again, and you end up with 4 cells. Looking at chromosome number, you count here, and it's starting with 1, 2, 3, 4 chromosomes. It has 2 copies of each one because during S phase it replicated its DNA. But at the end of mitosis, you ended up with 4 chromosomes. If you look over at meiosis, at the end of meiosis you end up with half of 4, or 2 chromosomes. Try these 4 check yourself questions to make sure you at least understand what meiosis is and what it makes. Next, we're going to talk about the phases of meiosis. It's not important that you understand all the phases because there are twice as many as are in mitosis, but it is important that you understand major differences between mitosis and meiosis phases. The first phase is called prophase 1, so the only difference is in meiosis, since it's going through 2 cell divisions, there are 1s and 2s following each phase. Prophase 1 is actually exactly like prophase in mitosis. Chromosomes are ready, centrioles separate to opposite sides of the cell, and the nuclear membrane breaks down into spheres. During metaphase 1, though, chromosomes pair up next to each other. So instead of there being 1 cell like mitosis with chromosomes in a line, you actually have pairs of chromosomes lining up in metaphase 1. In anaphase 1, it's not that sister chromatids get pulled apart like in mitosis, where sister chromatids move to opposite sides looking like little V's, but something called a homologous chromosome. Entire chromosome moves to each side of the cell. How is a homologous chromosome different than a sister chromatid? Homologous chromosomes are 2 copies you have of each chromosome. 1 you got from your mom, 1 from your dad. Sister chromatids, however, are exact copies of your DNA made during S phase. So looking at this in a graphic, you could say this side over here is the sister chromatid to this side. They're identical. Versus these 2 chromosomes, which are homologous chromosomes, maybe eye colors on here. So this gives you green eyes, and this one gives you blue eyes from your mom. They both are giving you the gene for eye color, but one's from the mom and one's from the dad. Homologous chromosomes versus sister chromatids. So again, going back to anaphase 1, it's when homologous chromosomes split apart. Telophase 1 is when the cell starts to divide into 2 cells, so this is the first cell division, similar to telophase and mitosis. And then the second phase, or the second cell division, starts. Prophase 2 this time is when the cell again gets ready for division, but this time it's not 1 cell going through the process, it's actually 2. The 2 cells that were made during the first phase of meiosis. Metaphase 2 looks exactly like metaphase and mitosis. The only difference is, in mitosis, 1 cell is going through this process, and in meiosis, 2 cells are both going through this process together. Anaphase 2 is when sister chromatids split apart. So this time we have the V's going to opposite sides, sister chromatids, not homologous chromosomes. And the last phase is when you have the 2 cells splitting again, you end up with 4 cells at the end. Each cell has 1 set of chromosomes, or haploid, half the amount of chromosomes as the original cell. This way, when an egg and sperm combined, they have half a set plus half a set and a whole set in the zygote that forms. So again, going back to this diagram, the key differences happen in the 2 cell divisions, the end result of 4 cells versus 2, haploid versus diploid cells, and then unique phases might be anaphase and metaphase in mitosis versus meiosis. Check yourself. List 4 differences between meiosis and mitosis. Go back in your notes if necessary. The 4 things you should come up with is mitosis divides once, meiosis divides twice. Mitosis results in 2 new cells, meiosis results in 4. Mitosis makes somatic cells, or your body cells, like skin cells, heart cells, and meiosis makes sex cells. And mitosis makes diploid cells, and meiosis makes haploid cells. Anaphase 1 and 2 are very different in meiosis. Try these 2 questions. Answer them in your notes. If necessary, draw a diagram. Finally, check yourself. In 10 words or less, describe the difference between mitosis and meiosis. If you can do that, then you probably understand meiosis. If you can't, go back and watch parts of this video.